how's it going? So this week has been pretty awful for the most part. So to start off with, at the beginning of the week, I mentioned a few weeks ago that I got that really strange dizziness and headaches and feeling really spaced out and just overall really sick. And I got it again this week, but the first day it was like my head was just really pounding in pain and just really dizzy. It just really felt like I was on a boat or something. Just my mind was just really swaying about everywhere inside, and it just felt really awful. And that lasted for about 2 days. And then during the 2 days I began to, I don't know, it just felt really hot and bothered. Like I felt cold but really hot on the outside, like to the point where I was just sweating but feeling really cold at the same time. It kind of feels like getting a fever, but at the same time not really, because I wasn't getting like a high temperature or anything. I don't know, I was just feeling really off, not myself, and just didn't feel great overall. And this just caused me to just stay in bed a lot of the time really, and just resting up. And yeah, even now I'm still not really feeling 100% myself. I'm still feeling a bit off, like always really spaced out and zoned off. And I guess this also leads into something that I realised that I've not really talked about much on this channel, and that is how I'm usually feeling on the inside. Like, although I say some weeks are okay, not too bad and stuff, I'm constantly feeling these sort of feelings. And I guess it just comes with the mental health, and I guess part of it would be side effects from my medication as well. But I'll try to explain what I usually feel pretty much all the time, but it is quite difficult to put into words. But yeah, here we go. So most of the time I always feel really emotionless, like just a lack of emotion. Like if I'm watching TV or playing video games or doing anything really, I just always have a really blank stare and just very emotionless. Like if I'm watching a comedy, I rarely laugh at the jokes, or if I play video games and stuff, I just lack enjoyment. I'm just always very zoned out. And I guess a lot of people in the mental health department like to phrase it as being like a zombie, where you're watching it but you don't really progress what you're watching or react to it. You're just kind of blankly staring at it. Like I feel like that pretty much all the time. And as well as that, I always feel really zoned out. Like I watch or play something but I can't really process the information of what I'm looking at, or I just can't focus on what I'm doing if I'm playing a game. And this goes into when I play piano or writing books as well. Like it always feels like if I'm watching something, it takes about a second for my mind to catch up to what I processed, and then it just kind of, I don't know, it's like this also affects if I'm moving around as well. Like for example, if I move my head from here to here, it kind of feels like my mind is still here for a second before it slowly catches up, and it just makes me feel really spaced out, zoned out, and just kind of gives me nausea as well. Like, because I'm obviously, my head's in a different position, but my mind is still over here, so it almost feels like I'm dividing, and it just kind of makes me feel dizzy and gives me headaches really. And this applies to things like playing piano as well. Like, I'm playing a song and then I have the notes memorized of what I need to play next, but then when I play those notes I just get a blank slate for the next key, so I just kind of play a bit and then just kind of stop until my mind catches up to what I just played. Then I can think about on what to play next. So it just feels really strange, just odd, and yeah, just really spaced out and zoned out. It's just the best way I can put it. Like, I read through other people's stories with mental health, and a lot of them have explained similar situations. So because I experienced them myself, I fully understand where they're coming from, even though I know that with people who don't have mental health can find it quite hard to understand what it feels like unless you experience it yourself. But it's, I'm sure if you've been watching my channel a long time, I'm sure you noticed that when I talk I'm always quite stuttering, and I always take a lot of long pauses, and this applies to what I just mentioned as well. Like, I know what I want to say, but when I say the words that I want to say, the next words just takes me a while to catch up to what I just said, so that I can think about what to say next, carrying on. So this is why I tend to have a lot of long pauses in my videos, and if you've been following the channel as well, I'm sure you've noticed that I tend to cut out a lot of it, so it just kind of skips throughout the video. That's because I end up having to cut out, it can be up to like a minute of a pause. Like, I don't know, it just, yeah, like I mentioned, it's just the best way I can describe it. It's just like feeling really spaced out, zoned out, and many have phrased it as being like a zombie. But yeah, it just makes day-to-day life really difficult as well, because it just makes me lack the focus, the concentration, and it just causes me to not be able to help myself as much as I would like to, or help other people around me, like my mum. Like, when I try to help my mum in the kitchen, I'm always very slow at doing things because of like being zoned out and stuff. Or when she's like cooking or something and she has to go do something, I'll just kind of stare at the pan that's cooking. And with cooking you have to keep mixing it, or else it'll get burnt. And a lot of the time I just end up staring at, like, I know I kind of know what I'm looking at, but at the same time not really. So I just kind of end up staring at it, spaced out. And then a lot of times my mum comes back, she'll kind of like tell me off, saying, why didn't you stir it? Like, you're obviously looking at it and you know it's burning, why didn't you stir it? So that just, you know, it just gets me down as well. But yeah, it's just a very common thing with mental health, and I guess it's like a side effect from medication as well. But lately this week specifically, I just felt much more spaced out and zoned out, and I don't know if it's because of the decrease in my medication. Like, I decreased it, I think it was coming about 2 months ago now, so about 8 weeks. And usually with medication for mental health, it takes up to 6 to 8 weeks for it to have a response in the change. So I'm wondering, because of the decrease, I'm wondering if that's now affecting my mood and how I'm feeling. But yeah, it's just difficult overall, and with mental health it's quite a long gap of months to see a doctor as well. So obviously I want to talk to my doctor about these things that I just mentioned, but it's still quite a whiles away yet to see the doctor. I think I'm seeing him sometime in October, I think, so still quite a long way. But yeah, it's just difficult to struggle in isolation, really, like because of the lockdown as well. Like I'm mainly having to be stuck indoors as well, so I can't even go out to like see friends or family and stuff. So I'm just kind of, yeah, just like I said, just kind of suffering alone in isolation, and it's hard to talk about mental health with people as well. Like it's just a difficult subject to bring up, and it's hard to talk to someone who doesn't fully understand what mental health is. So yeah, overall it's just difficult, but I try to not stress myself too much. Like if I'm, say like I'm playing a piano or writing my book and I just can't concentrate at all, or just get stressed, I just stop, really. I just tell myself to take a step back and try not to beat myself over it for like making too many mistakes on piano, or not able to write to my fullest in my book. So I just kind of take a step back and calm myself, really, and not beat myself over it. And like I know what my limits are and what my mental health can affect me, so rather than just like be negative about myself and stuff, I just have to work alongside as with the mental health, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's just overall it's still very difficult, really, living with mental health and stuff. And yeah, I guess that's the best way I can explain it. So I know that was a very long progress of me explaining, and I understand if you can get like bored of listening to me or something, but if you have listened to me this far in the video, then like all I can say is thank you for listening to my story, really. Like it is hard talking about my mental health, really, and it's just something I've realized that although I do talk about how I'm feeling on this channel a lot of the time, I haven't really got that deep into it. But yeah, this video was just to explain a more deeper feeling of what day-to-day life is for me, and I guess with mental health in general, I guess. But yeah, if you made it this far, then thank you for listening, and yeah, I hope you just stick with me for future videos as well. So although I've explained my more emotional feelings on how I've been feeling this week, aside from that, like I mentioned that this week has been pretty awful. So on top of my feeling just overly sick this week, I also been getting a lot of nosebleeds this week as well. And for whatever reason, every year, it's usually around summertime, I usually just get these really severe nosebleeds. Like I'm not talking about like just light nosebleeds that you can just hold your nose and then it'll heal. But the ones I get are really severe. Like it just kind of starts pouring out for all of a sudden without any warning. And I'm not really a huge fan of having to look up and then having to swallow our own blood, because it's just not a very nice taste or experience. And because of how severe my nosebleeds are, it just ends up having to swallow a lot. I don't want to get into too much of the gory sort of details, but it's just not a nice experience if I look up, so I end up having to look down and just let it pour out into a sink. And these nosebleeds can last from like 20 minutes to 45 minutes. And I just get them like around summertime. I just get them really frequently. Like as soon as I wake up, I get one, and then midday I get another one, and then sometimes in the afternoon I get one, and then at night time I get another one. So it can be up to 4 times of just really heavy nosebleeds. And because of losing so much blood with like that amount of time, it does affect me. Like it makes me lightheaded, which just adds to my headaches and dizziness, so that makes it feel worse. It makes me feel really low energy. Like, because I'm losing so much blood, it just makes me feel even more awful overall. But fortunately, I don't know what it's called in English, but in Chinese it's called lente. And these are like small kind of fruits that my mum and some of her friends discovered that in Hong Kong they tend to, like when they go out walking in the mountains, they pick a lot of these dried lente and then they boil it into this kind of watery medicine. And this was quite a lot of years ago now, like over 10 years, but they picked them and then they boiled it and then had me drink it, and then almost like a miracle, it just stops my nosebleed straight away. Like even just after 1 cup, I don't get any nosebleed for the rest of the day, and it can even last up to like a whole year until the next year I start getting them again. But yeah, I don't really know what causes my nosebleeds really. I don't know, just around summertime, like between June and September sort of time, I just start getting these really severe heavy nosebleeds. Like I don't know if it's connected to my mental health or anything, but it is quite a serious problem. But luckily my mum and friends did discover this lente medicine for me. But yeah, I guess it's just one of those Chinese medicines that, because it's a very natural sort of herb sort of substance from the lente fruit, so it is a very Chinese medicine overall. Like I've seen a couple of doctors here in the UK about my nosebleeds, and none of them have really helped. Like they haven't really prescribed me of anything to take or even explained to me what's causing these nosebleeds. But luckily, yeah, my mum discovered these lente that I can drink, and that really helps with my nosebleeds to last for a year and sometimes even 2 years. But I do worry that because you can only, well, my mum can only find them in Hong Kong, it's not really something you can buy, and that goes for Hong Kong as well. Not that I've seen anyway. But I do worry that because she's only picked so much, like obviously if I'm gonna keep getting nosebleeds annually, we're gonna run out of these lente fruits in the future, and if that happens, then up as of this moment, I've still not discovered a way to stop my nosebleeds. So I do worry that once the Lende medicine is finished, then yeah, I do fear that my nosebleeds will just keep continuing yearly. But yeah, it just depends when we go Hong Kong again, really, to pick some more. But yeah, as of this week, the nosebleeds came back on top of my like feeling really feverish and just severe spike in mental health. So that added on to make me feel really low and just awful this week. And then throughout the middle of the week, I accidentally deleted my mum's phone's data as well. Like, she kept complaining about her phone being out of memory, so she passed the phone to me, and basically what I tried to do is transfer all her photos and videos onto her SD card so that this frees up space on the internal memory on her phone. But for whatever reason, I moved them over to the SD card and basically copied it over, and then I wanted to delete them on the phone's internal memory so that it properly transfers. But for whatever reason, as soon as I did that, it deleted the ones on the SD card as well. So all the photos and videos on my mom's phones are just completely wiped. And this again just made me feel really bad inside, because I mean, obviously I didn't intend to do it. I was just trying to solve the memory problem, but for whatever reason it just ended up deleting everything off her phone. So I just felt really bad and just felt really low in my mood. Like, my mum didn't really seem like, she didn't really get angry at me or anything, so I guess she knows that I was only trying to help, and I guess at the same time she knows like about my mental health, so she tries to not get upset with me because she knows that it just makes how I feel a lot worse. But overall I still feel quite bad because I accidentally just wiped off her phone. But yeah, it was just more negative on top of more negative things this week. So all these little things just add up to make this week just feel pretty awful for me overall. So yeah. So with all the things I mentioned already about this week, obviously all that stuff has just made my mood really low this week. Just been feeling really awful, just hating myself at certain times, and yeah, it's just really affected my mood quite heavily this week, and just feeling even more unmotivated, even more low, and just overall not great. And obviously this affected on my concentration as well, so I've just lacked the concentration to continue my book. Like, I continued it a bit, but not a whole lot. I was just more focused on resting and recovering really this week. But yeah, overall I've just been feeling not great, pretty low, and just yeah, not just awful overall. But all I can hope is that my mood and overall weeks will get more positive going forward. Like, I've learned to not linger on these things because I know it'll just bring my mood down even more. So just got to stay positive really and think more positively going forward. Just hope that my mood gets better really, and just hopefully the weeks coming forward are more positive than this week. Like, it, like I mentioned many times already, this week has not been great for me. So hopefully the coming weeks get better, and hopefully I'll start feeling better as well. But overall, just focus on recovering still, and just hoping again my mood gets better and I start feeling better. But this was quite a longer video than my usual weekly vlogs. But yeah, I just wanted to get this off my chest really, on how I'm feeling on a deeper level, and go into more detail about mental health and what my day-to-day life is really. And I know that I can ramble on quite a lot at times, and my focus in talking can get quite stuttery as well. But if you made it this far into the video, then thank you very much for listening. And yeah, I'll try to keep future videos shorter, I guess. And yeah, just have to see how it goes from here going forward with the channel. So I guess that's pretty much it for this week, so hopefully I'll see you next Saturday. That's it for this video. My name is Hoiman, and please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. And remember, always look forward, keep hope alive, and remember, you're somebody.